Welcome to my 2024 year in review. I am so excited to get to go back and look at all of our images from the last year. We started out in January. We were in Pahrump, Nevada, and we headed up to Death Valley National Park. This is a shot of the salt flats, and you can see the salt crystals there in a person's hand and the view of the mountains. It was just spectacular. Heading into February, we started out strong with another national park. We were headed to Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree was so pretty. The Joshua trees get their name from the folks settling out there who held up their hands to God, praising Him. So that's where the name Joshua Tree comes from. And then we headed to Altman, Arizona. And at this point, we were staying in Arizona for an extended time, and the wild burros just go all over the streets. And about an hour away from us was Grand Canyon West. This is not the national park side of the canyon, but it is still just as stunning. I have to tell you, it was absolutely gorgeous. It takes your breath away. Nearby in Chloride, Arizona, we went and we checked out the murals that are painted by a local artist, and he still comes back and touches them up. So that was a really cool thing to see. You definitely need a four-wheel drive to get up there, but we have a big old truck for our camper, so it all worked out. Heading into March, we started at Saguaro National Park, and the drive into Saguaro, all you see literally, the park gets its name from the saguaro cacti. And it is the cactus that you see most often, I think, portrayed in like coloring books. It's the thing that if you are asked to draw a cactus, this is the cactus that you're going to draw. It's just the quintessential cactus that comes to mind. Saguaro is, I would say, a driving park. We took a little scenic road, and that's what we're driving up right now to go through. And it was just such a pretty place. All of these parks are gorgeous in their own way. I could not pick one as my favorite because they're also unique and different from one another. Then we were headed to El Paso and we stopped at the Titan Missile Museum. And this is a decommissioned Titan missile in its silo. And from there, we headed to White Sands National Park. And it's like what I imagine the moon would look like. It's just white sand as far as the eye can see. And here you can see the way the wind has kind of ruffled and left its mark on the sand. Very, very, very cool. From El Paso, we stayed about 3 weeks, but we didn't really do much in El Paso. And we headed to South Padre Island, Texas. And South Padre Island has a lot going on for it. Obviously, it's the Gulf of Mexico, so there's lots of beaches to be seen. And it was spectacular. We were there for 2 weeks. And in addition to going to the beach, we also were fortunate to be able to check out places like the Palo Alto National Battlefield. And it was a walking tour, and you can walk through the field and see cannon emplacements, and they have flags that demarcate the different lines where the military were, and the cacti were blooming, so it was just the perfect time to be there. On our way home from Palo Alto, we drove by SpaceX, which is cool in and of itself. You're just driving down this road, and all of a sudden, there are rocket ships pointing up into the sky. It was kind of surreal, actually. So that was pretty neat. Across the Port Isabel Bridge from South Padre Island is Port Isabel, Texas, and we definitely have a thing for lighthouses. So we checked out the Port Isabel Lighthouse. Very neat. It was a small donation to get in. I think we paid $5, but the view from the top is absolutely spectacular. We took Kirk's mom to the South Padre Island Birding and Nature Sanctuary for an afternoon, and they have this long walkway that goes out over the watery, weedy, seaweedy area, and we definitely enjoyed feeding the tortoises, and it was definitely a cool way to spend an afternoon. From there, we headed to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where we checked out Hot Springs National Park. And the bathhouses there are really ornate and super duper pretty. So if you have a chance to stop in Hot Springs, I would definitely recommend it. From there, we headed to Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky. And Mammoth Cave was, well, it definitely has earned its name. It is a mammoth cave. It is absolutely monstrous. It was a really neat thing to check out. And we have a national parks pass that we pay for annually. So we definitely got our use out of that pass this year. When we got back to upstate New York in May, we just kind of hung out and got our fifth wheel opened up for the summer. And then in June, we headed to a state park to camp for 2 weeks. This park is located right on the St. Lawrence Seaway. So there are tons of ocean-going ships to get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes. So we definitely enjoyed being near the water. We were right on the water site. So we saw lots of waterfowl. And this is a ship going through the lock, which was maybe 5 miles away. In July, we headed over to Vermont, which is actually a quick trip for us. It probably only took us 40 minutes to get there. And we stayed at Apple Island Resort where we did some golfing. We checked out some sunsets. We were only there 3 days, but it was definitely nice to just keep the camper moving and keep ourselves in practice. In October, our seasonal campsite closed up for the winter, and we headed for a few days to a state park that's very local to us just to get us through Friday when we felt more comfortable for Kirk to take some time off work to do a travel day. From there, we headed to Pennsylvania, where I had my 50th birthday, and I was treated to the Northern Lights the night before my birthday. It was really, really special. I had never seen them before. From Pennsylvania, we headed to Shenandoah, Virginia, where we stayed 10 days and we checked out Shenandoah National Park. This is a scenic drive through the park. This is a driving park. Although, if you are a hiker, there are tons and tons of hiking trails to um, meet your needs. Whether you're a newer hiker or an experienced hiker, I'm sure Shenandoah has something that would cover your needs for sure. And then we also, while we were in Shenandoah, checked out the Luray, Virginia caverns. Now, these are monstrous caverns as well. And I have to tell you, the stalagmites and stalactites were absolutely awe inspiring. It was so cool. It's really neat for me to see like things in action, like seeing the way the earth works or the way a body works. It's just very, very fascinating to me. Now, you can spend an entire day in Luray because, in addition to the cavern, they have an antique car museum as well as an replica village from like the 1800s with a schoolhouse and a plantation house and a meeting house. So, Luray Caverns was definitely a great way to spend a day while we were down in Shenandoah. Next, we headed to West Virginia to the New River Gorge National Park. And this arch bridge is the largest arch bridge in the Western Hemisphere, which was pretty cool to see. There were a couple small waterfalls, which we took short hikes to go see. I have a resolution of becoming more of a hiker and getting into shape to be able to do more hiking. But these were very short. They were easy hikes right off the road. And so we were able to really enjoy this really picturesque little spot when we were there in New River Gorge. It was absolutely gorgeous. The whole place is gorgeous. It's also has a lot of hiking and you can choose to just drive it if that's what you choose to do. And part of it is also an old railroad town that is part of the park. It's incorporated into it, and they're slowly but surely working up to restoring the buildings down there. So it'll be a really cool place to visit when that happens. Coming into November, We were in we were in Tennessee, and Shiloh National Military Park was probably only about an hour drive for us, so we decided to go check it out, as well as the National Cemetery. It's a very somber place. It was a gray, kind of misty day when we were there, which was very fitting, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to do it. Coming into December, this was my cherry at home for the holidays, and I have been home for a month, and it has been so fantastic. I've gotten to spend a lot of time with my three sisters, and we got a little bit of snow, just enough to kind of, you know, satisfy the appetite I had for snow. I definitely have moved on to warmer climates, but this was just enough snow for me. We put out some decorations in the yard, so here is our snowman waving hi, happy winter to everybody. And we decorated this tree in the field right next to my sister's house for the people who drive by. We put solar lights on it and some big bulbs, and I hope it brightened people's day. And of course, we put up our Christmas tree and went out to see White Christmas for the first time for me on the big screen at the movie theater. And to wrap up the kind of end of month activities that we did, we went driving around to look at Christmas lights. I hope you enjoyed my 2024 year in review. If you enjoyed it, please go back, watch some of my other videos, leave a comment, and subscribe. It'll really help my channel out.